Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, and tonight we're going to be talking about the WWE Spring Cleaning of 2016. And let me introduce my co-host. He's the Classic Wrestling Manager, Joseph Knight. He's over at DK Retro and Facebook in the group section. Joe, what's up?
Not much. I'm kind of taken back about all these spring cleaning that apparently the WWE is doing. And I got to say, there's two people on that list that I believe should not be on that list. Even though I know one asked for his release, the other one, Rick, shouldn't even be on that list.
I agree. Now, WWE, over the past 24 hours, released 9 people. Now, we're going to start off with the two that Joe was talking about. First, we're going to talk about Wade Barrett. Now, he's been on the injury list, but a couple of months ago, he kind of made it clear that he has no desire to resign. Do we know why? No. So obviously, his his contract is up in June. Now, whether W gave him an earlier release or they're going to let him wait it out, who knows? Joe, Wade Barrett, great wrestler. He has some great gimmicks. He even got some great mic skills. He had all the hallmarks of a great wrestler. Why do you think he would leave, or what's the point behind this?
Well, Rick, being a superstar, especially in the WWE, being a wrestler, let me take it like that. Being a wrestler in the WWE is very demanding, mentally and physically, as you see with many of the talent that are there. Maybe he took this as his time that says, hey, you know what? I want to take a break. I want to maybe throttle back and come back maybe a later date, maybe in a year or two, or just hit the indie scene. I, you know, I think in this time, I think Barrett knows he needs a break. He needs to pull back, and maybe he wants to do the indie route for a while and take a break.
Now, one of the biggest shockers, and I think a lot of the fans really disapproved, even Ms. Jack shit. She loved Damien Sandow. Now, Damien Sandow, for the past couple of years, was thrown every single gimmick under the sun, and he took it and he ran with it. He really embraced whatever gimmick they threw at him. And then I think he really started to shine when he did the stunt double with The Miz. After that kind of faded out, Joe, he just kind of fell off the spotlight.
You know what? And again, yes, I agree with you on that. Damien Sandow was what every company wants. He's a company guy, did what he was told, didn't complain, at least not openly, you know, and he did what he was supposed to. He came out in the bathrobe trying to be the intellectual, then he came out the stunt double. I got a chance to see him do the stunt double gimmick with The Miz live in my area when WWE did a show, and it was over with the fans. Then when that died out, he went in to do these, impersonations, and we knew that wasn't going to last long. Again, Damien Sandow was the guy. I think if they would give him something, maybe something else, you know, they could have done something more with him. I think he could have gone far. He's another guy, Rick. I think if him and Barrett would have been a team, I think they could have gone far. Yeah, you tell him.
And as I had my mic off, you know what? I have to agree with you to a point. Yes, Wade Barrett was more of a serious note, but they could have had that comical, serious, like mix. And because Damien Sandow, I believe, was naturally funny, and I think if they tried to just say, fine, you know what, we have no gimmick for you, let's you go out and be what you think you are, and just for once try their own, have him have his own creative, as I'm tripping over myself here. Now, there has been one rumor, although nothing's been confirmed, that Heath Slater is set to be on that firing list or the spring cleaning list, so to speak. And so far, that has not been confirmed. Joe, Heath Slater, if you ask me, I think he should be on this list. He's done anything but impress me.
Hell, I would take Heath Slater, kick him out, and bring back Damien Sandow. You know, Heath Slater hasn't impressed me since he entered. He hasn't done anything. He kind of reminds me of Christian 2.0, where he just didn't fit in. He just didn't have anything going with him. The social outcasts are jobbers at best, and I'm really surprised that those other guys didn't go. Yes, Bo Dallas probably stay in a little bit longer. Curtis Axel should have been gone. You know, and again, this all goes back to that one individual, Damien Sandow. There's so many other people that WWE could have got rid of because, again, Heath Slater wasn't impressive. Alex Riley wasn't impressive. Cameron wasn't impressive. So, you know, I would like to see what they're going to do. Either they're going to continue with the social outcasts because they aren't funny, or they're just going to buy their time and just push these guys out one at a time. I think they're kind of evaluating what they're going to do with Heath Slater, and he's probably on his knees begging to get to keep stay in the company.
Yeah, and now you previously mentioned both Cameron, who was released, and apparently she was released claiming that she supported Ryback. Now, again, we don't know if that's confirmed. That's the internet wrestling community rumor mill spinning like crazy. But Cameron, in general, there was nothing about her that was impressive. She could not wrestle her way out of a wet paper bag. Her voice was fucking annoying. The only thing she had going for her was she was some decent eye candy. And then, Joe, let's jump over to AlexRiley, which, again, you mentioned. Now, from what I had reports, AlexRiley, he was on the NXT commentator team. He was doing great, looked like he had a rock solid spot, and then he went to WWE Creative and said, I want another shot in the ring. I know I can do it. And again, didn't really work out because AlexRiley, never really impressive. And by the time that, they realized it wasn't working as a wrestler, it's the second time around, they had already filled his spot in the commentators team. So not probably one of the wisest career moves for Riley.
Well, you know what? Let's go back to Cameron real quick. She debuted as one of the Funkadactyls. That didn't go too far with her. Naomi improved 1,000 times, and it was a wise choice to get rid of Cameron. You could probably find her at your local strip club dancing down the pole. Back to AlexRiley. AlexRiley, a good guy. I think he wasn't impressive in the ring. But again, Rick, you know what? This is a thing where WWE hasn't done in a long time. They haven't really took two individuals, put them together, and make a new team. They rarely did that. Back in the 80s and 90s, you saw that all the time, and he used to work. Tito Santana, Rick Martel, Tim Zink, Rick Martel, so forth and so forth. I think if they would have took AlexRiley and put him in with Zack Ryder, give him a serious type of gimmick, like a pretty boy gimmick or something, and give him a good push, they probably would have been a good team. So, but singly, no, AlexRiley wasn't impressive.
Well, I do want to make a quick note. Now, you're talking about all these tag teams being meshed together and haven't done it in a while, but yet they have. They did it about 4 or 5 years ago where, they did, Rated RKO, which two great wrestlers, Edge and Randy Orton. Then you had Chris Jericho mixing up with a couple of other guys, and that really kind of didn't work. But now they are doing it with other wrestlers, R-Truth, Goldust, Tyler Breeze, and Fandango, and they're all kind of creating new mesh teams. And for me, they very rarely work. You need two of those top talents that can really know how to do the proper mesh. But, let's go back onto this list. El Torito and both Hornswoggle were fired. But then again, they haven't really been on the ring that much, and I think they kind of hit their sell-by date, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can only go so far with them. Hornswoggle could have been part of the social outcast. That's how they could have gone with that. But again, that's the problem in wrestling. Midgets don't last long. And it's not being funny, they cut their career short, But
ouch.
What? They were downsizing. So, they had a little short run in the WWE. It was pretty good, for what it's worth, and that was it. Midgets don't last. They're a special attraction at best, and that's it. And I'm surprised Hornswoggle lasted this long. El Torito, he was part of that group with the Los Matadores, and he was good for that. But once they're gone, he really didn't have nothing to do. And how many times can we see El Torito versus Hornswoggle? So smart move on WWE right there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that was probably the pinnacle of both. When they did that mini TLC, still great match for what they did, but again, when you only have a select few of those, that genre, it doesn't work. One of the bigger shockers was Santino Morella. Now, Morella has been out on the injury list, and he knew that his wrestling career was over, but there were so many different aspects he could have brought to the WWE. He could have been worked over the Performance Center as a coach. Now, Joe, you mentioned that that Morella actually has his own wrestling school. Wouldn't he have been an asset in the Performance Center?
Absolutely. He has his own separate, wrestling school, and I hear it's thriving pretty well. So for the comical routine that you see him in the ring is totally different from his, school ethics. So he would have been perfect. This is a guy that could have been in NXT or the Performance Center as a trainer, and really excelled. And this was kind of a shocker too because we haven't seen Santino Morella in a ring in a pay-per-view in a long time. Granted, he's a comical guy, him and the Cobra, you know, it's just, and he was one of those wrestlers that you rooted for. I remember I rooted for him during, I think it was a Hell in a Cell match where it was the world title on the line, and I think he was beaten by Dolph Ziggler. But he's that type of guy that he's such an underdog that fans could have really got behind him. But again, Rick, not surprising. I'm surprised that WWE just made this announcement now, and they didn't do it a long time ago. Santino, again, great great talent, but he hasn't been in a ring or in pay-per-view in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously they're doing the spring cleaning because they're bringing up all these new indie guys. They brought up AJ Styles. He went right to the main roster. They had Anderson and Gallows, who was a part of the Bullet Club over in New Japan with AJ Styles. They came up. Then you have several of people like Sami Zayn. He's now up in the main roster. So clearly they're making room for all these new guys that are coming in because they need to be in the spotlight. And the problem you got to ask is, with all these guys coming up, who's going to get lost in the shuffle? And that's really one of the parts to think about.
Well, exactly. And right now, they have Finn Balor transitioning over. They have, Eric Young now. Robert Roode actually finally signed a contract with NXT. So, you have these, I hate to say it like this, veteran indie talent that are now in NXT who are going to fill those gaps, but I wouldn't be surprised they move up. I'm going to say I'm going to say 5 guys who should have been gone from in that releases. Definitely R-Truth, because R-Truth is way done. Good guy. Never really was a fan of his, what's up type deal. A Fandango should be gone by now. Goldust, while he's kind of a commodity in nostalgia, without Stardust, I think it's already done. He's just collecting a paycheck. On the Diva side, women's side, Summer Rae, who's really, lost more matches than anything else. And I have to go straight for the clincher here, and I'm going to have to put my last person, number 5, and it just slipped my mind. And see, folks, this is what happens when you have TNA on the brain.
Yeah, I have to say Eva Marie.
Eva Marie, there you go. That's the last one. And you look at that group. Now, that 5 should have been gone. Again, some of the male talent, Truth, Fandango, and all these guys are young. Well, Truth is 100 probably, but he, again, and he's in phenomenal shape, but how far can you go keep seeing the guy? So I think those guys should be added to that list and bring back Damien Sandow.
Well, the funny thing is, who's not officially on that list? You and I talked a couple of days ago about Ryback being, having contract issues, and then Adam Rose being suspended on taking legitimate drugs. And despite even Ryback, who trashed the WWE, and even Adam Rose, who went on Twitter and expressed that, hey, I had a doctor's note. He even said it's going to be a career killer. And I don't want to jump too much on these guys, but just the fact that they haven't been released yet, what does that say?
Well, you know what? I think this is a politically correct system here. And I think as far as Ryback's concerned, he's done. He's already, put his foot in his mouth. They probably already pointed him out the door, and they already did send him home. So he in my book, the guy's done. Adam Rose, I believe the guy, he was trying to fight that suspension. Say, hey, look, this is, and companies like this, Rick, they get paid to be on the show. So even though they got a contract, they got to work the contract in order to get paid, or they get reduced pay. They get a smidgen of their contract pay when they're staying home. So, Adam Rose, I'm sure he thought it was a great thing. Hey, look, this is, prescriptions. I have a legitimate prescription. I looked at that doctor's note. I saw Dr. D Bunny, but that's a different story. I think in this case, what Adam Rose should do is take those 60 days off, heal up, probably bulk up a little bit, and come back as the Adam Rose party guy gimmick. That's what really got him. Or come back as Leo Kruger, which really sold for him in NXT.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point because I really personally didn't care for the whole Adam Rose party guy. It just didn't really resonate with me. But again, I'm sure other fans, such as yourself, did like that whole gimmick. He seems to have good mic skills. He's a good worker. But again, the gimmick is just not working. But you know what? We're going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And now we want to know you, the fans. What are your thoughts? Who do you feel should be released, shouldn't be released, and are some of these wrestlers unjustified, and why? Please put your comments in the comments section below. Make sure you follow us over at Facebook.com in the group sections under the name HWR Chat Room. We want you to come over there, say what you want, how you want to say it. We don't give a fuck. We're no holds barred. And also, if you want to see more great videos such as this, head on over to youtube.com/HWR Show, and please hit that subscribe button. I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, and I want to thank Classic Wrestling Manager Joseph Knight. Joe, what's up?
You know what? I want to throw in a little tidbit here, fans. You guys obviously heard me talk about the bunny many times from Adam Rose. Well, here's a little tidbit that I introduced to Rick today. Go pull out your VCR tapes, pull out your, probably your MP3s or whatever. Find this 2003 WWE Vengeance. Look for that pay-per-view. Look for the bar scene that the APA, Bradshaw and Farouk, got into a brawl fight. If you look at that bar fight in that pay-per-view, the bunny actually debuts. He is there before Adam Rose. And here's another thing too, Rick. He turned out to be Damien Sandow underneath that rabbit suit. So a little bit, trivia thing for you fans. Check it out. It's fun to go find little things like this and get info. I got to thank my followers on Twitter. One of my followers gave me that little tidbit, so I appreciate that. Fans, you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com. Joseph Knight Manager. You can also be part of our DK Retro preview, where we talk about classic games, classic movies, classic TV shows. And you can find that at facebook.com groups DK Retro. Fans, follow me on my Twitter account. I've been posting a lot. I'm full Donald Trump, full classic and everything. So follow me on Twitter at JKnightCWA. I can breathe now.
And with that, for the Classic Wrestling Manager Joseph Knight, I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying, we'll see you when we see you.
I wonder if they threw Hornswoggle and Torito. Did they do the dwarf tossing when they fired him?
No idea, but we'll